couple of new releases came in, and I like them both. I'm going to start off with one of those. I'm going to start off with Pinx, Pinx. They have a new LP out. It's called Freedom. They're Alabama boys. It's classic rock guts with a southern garage soul, right? If you take Led Zeppelin and The Who and you grind them up with MC5 and Motorhead, you kind of end up with the Pinx. Classic Rock Magazine, which is a thing, Classic Rock Magazine. They said the Pinx return with a ridiculously self-assured slab of southern simmered thunder boogie that would make the perfect soundtrack for a dangerously reckless summer. Here's a couple from them, Baby Don't and Blue Dream.
Well, I checked in. It's just a blue dream. Tornado in the parking lot. Trouble I've brought. Guess tonight he decides as it passes by. Stop on by to see me. If you've got the time.
That just smoldered. If you want to hear that again, or if you want to get your hands on it, the Pinx with an X .bandcamp.com. The Pinx. And if this were any kind of a show at all, I would have somebody from the band on the phone. Let me check the phone.
Yeah.
Hey, this sounds like Adam McIntyre from the band.
Hey, Mark. I figured I would call in while you were playing the last couple songs. I have a Google alert to go off anytime anything happens with my band, so I figured I'd call.
Yeah, that's just how good you are. Congrats on the new album, man. It's getting a lot of good press.
Thank you very much, Mark. It's thrilling to get some nice attention for something that I really enjoy doing.
How can people turn it down? It's got a flag-wrapped muscle car on the cover.
That's my car. It doesn't really have the American flag on it, but that's a little bit of Photoshop wizardry via Keith Brogdon, who also did Sturgill Simpson's album cover.
It's been like 6 years since you guys put anything out.
Correct.
Why?
Okay. I need to try to answer this diplomatically, so there's a little bit of stuttering here at the very beginning. Long story short, it became very difficult to continue as we were.
Yeah.
Things kind of fell apart. Band members moved away, became disinterested, or whatever. Actually, there was a lot of stuff going on in everybody else's lives, and I had been hitting it pretty hard for a few years.
Yeah.
And I was pretty disappointed to see things kind of fall apart like that. But around the same time, I was really starting to record a lot of the other bands in Atlanta. And one of the bands that I was recording and helping out is a band called Stone Rider, and I joined them live for a couple of shows to help them out. And then their bass player quit. And then they got offered a European tour. And then all sorts of really good things started happening one after the other. I got to play for a bunch of my classic rock heroes and, played to big audiences in Europe. So no regrets there, except that I wasn't doing the Pinx. I missed it. So about a year ago, I hunkered down and asked for a day a week off from Stone Rider practice and got to making this record and putting a band back together. And, man, it feels really good to be back doing it again.
It seemed like, from what I read, the Pinx back in the day, you guys toured yourselves into insanity.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know how much detail I
You don't need to go into
legally am allowed to go into about it, but we used to party pretty hard and do an awful lot of touring. And it was, we weren't like a world-class touring band or anything like that, but, over 100 shows a year for a supposedly little local band is kind of a lot. So, the Southeast, at least, was very familiar with us for a while there.
Mm-hmm. And, well, you've been at this for a while. You certainly built up chops early on.
Me personally, or the Pinx?
You personally, and, well, the Pinx, it's a new incarnation now, but you
Sure,
personally.
yeah, it's a new lineup, it's new blood, but it already feels really good, really natural. At this point, I don't think it's crazy for me to say that we're already better than the record is.
The record's good. It's a young-sounding record.
Young-sounding?
Yeah. It sounds like you guys are snot-nosed piss and vinegar kids. I mean that in the best way.
That is my favorite compliment that I think I've ever gotten. My whole deal with this record was trying to get back to what made me tick when I was like 13 to 15 years old and just really, really wanting to play in a band and really wanting to be part of this whole rock and roll thing. So I made this whole record about my happy place, and by that I mean, like, you remember being a little kid and like your parents' friends would bring their kid over and you'd be like, all right, let's go to my room. And you'd go to your room and then it would just be, a few hours of kid stuff. Like, here's my favorite toy. Here's, my favorite stuff to listen to. This is my favorite shirt, just very simple interaction, but like very excited. And that is kind of what I was trying to stick to for this record. Like, hey, everybody, here's what I love about rock and roll. Here's what I love about playing guitar. Here's what I love about drums. And, just like the songs, I wanted to make sure that it was all stuff that I was like, it really represented me, not only now, but especially that kid that I used to be that had so much piss and vinegar and so much excitement. And so the whole record is supposed to be my happy place. And everybody that got invited in to guest on it or work on it or, master it or do the artwork or even press CDs, everybody was encouraged to please follow their bliss. Like, I have brought you in because I like you and I like what you do. Now do what you do in a way that makes you happy.
How does the new quartet compare to the old trio for live shows?
Well, there are a few differences, obviously.
Sure.
The old trio would be wildly unpredictable. We might decide at the spur of the moment because somebody made a mistake, we would roll with that mistake, and then the whole song's different.
Outstanding.
The quartet is, we're still kind of exploring how to play to each other, like, not just like here's the beat, but I mean like kind of next level stuff. Like, hey, I noticed last time you did that song, you threw in this other note, and then Chance, our new second guitarist, would harmonize with something that he caught me doing one time.
Also outstanding.
Yeah, it's just there's some shine and some polish on this lineup that the old lineup didn't ever kind of have the luxury of having, because it was always such a, like, we have to get as drunk as possible and go out on stage and see how well we can play in that state. I don't think that we ever did a sloppy bad show, but we certainly did some sloppy good shows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we never self-destructed on stage or anything like that. We never train wrecked a song, but it would get so wild that audience members would kind of worry that they were about to see some kind of train wreck on stage. The new lineup, not so much.
I dug up a couple of YouTube clips of the trio, and I really liked what I mean, it was super loud, but it wasn't a wall of mush. It was fast without being ridiculous. And there was just the right amount of sloppy for me. It was totally honest and totally blistering. I liked it.
I really appreciate that. That's things that I love to do. You know, like just kind of being honest about the kind of player that I am and the kind of singer that I am. You know, like I'm not the greatest singer in the world, but I can do what I do pretty well.
Sure.
You know, I have a good time. I'm just trying to convey like the good time that I like to have. So I really appreciate that you dug the old live footage. What did you find?
I don't even remember what it was.
I wonder if it was Hank's garage.
That rings a loud bell. I bet it was.
Yeah, that was like local cable access stuff, and that was a very wild gig. That was a wild gig indeed.
Are you still playing through the Orange Head?
Oh boy, that is. I'm going to say this: I have changed amplifier companies very recently. There's a local Atlanta amp builder called Acorn. And they have built me their first 100-watt head, and
Nice.
I believe after me it will go into production. So I've got the prototype of the Acorn 100-watt.
Support local. I'm all behind you.
Yeah, they're in my neighborhood. You know, they're literally 2 miles down the street that I'm standing on right now. So if anything goes wrong with it, I know the guy that built it. You know.
Yeah.
And I really try to do that. I try to keep everything in my neighborhood, not even just in my city, but like in East Atlanta Village. Like our merchandise largely comes from the East Atlanta Village. So I'm trying to surround myself with people that I really like and people I love dealing with every day. And I'm trying to make sure that, like, you know, let's improve the economy of our immediate area.
Yeah.
You know, like let's embrace those closest to us.
And on that note, tell me about the rest of the band.
Okay, well, I should probably start with Dwayne. Dwayne Jones is in a bunch of great bands here in Atlanta, but we've been in a band together called Demonaut. But even before Demonaut, the whole reason I was in Demonaut, Dwayne saw the Pinx 8 or 9 years ago and was like, that's my band. I think he even went up to our drummer, Jim, and was like, hey, you know, whenever you break enough bones, because Jim had a habit of getting, you know, he'd be skateboarding or something and crack a rib. And then he would suffer for a couple of weeks on the road. And Dwayne is like, hey, man, next time you crack a rib, you know, I'm going to be the guy that jumps in and takes your place. And it was all very ha, ha, ha. But Dwayne was serious. Dwayne wanted to join the band a very long time ago.
Congratulations, Dwayne.
So, congratulations, Dwayne. And we've got John Lee on bass. John has been in a band with Dwayne as well. They have been in a few bands together, I believe. I really enjoy seeing those guys in Telestrion. They're kind of a psychedelic prog rock heavy band here in Atlanta. They're just wonderful. They're a really, really good live band. So I make no attempt to hide this. I stole the rhythm section of that band. And then Dwayne had been playing with this other guy, Chance McCall. And Chance, as a guitarist, is right kind of halfway in between Danny Gatton and Jimmy Page. And I know that if you talk to Chance, he would have a handful of other really, really important influences. So I hate to distill him down to those two. But that's kind of like wild how he fits into the band, you know, with those two influences. There's more songwriting on this record, which I got away from after I left Nashville for a while. I spent 10 years in Nashville kind of getting to know songwriting. And when I moved to Atlanta, I was like, well, I just want to have fun. So I came back a few steps in like I wanted to have good songs on this record, good catchy stuff. And Chance brings a little bit more country into the songwriting. You know, he makes it just a little bit more rootsy.
Sure.
And it's really wild and fun getting to pair off with Chance. We get to do some interesting things live.
The band had a growth spurt in more ways than one.
Correct.
What is coming up? What do you guys have cooking?
Let's see. I don't want to put a time limit on it, but so we've got a bunch of shows coming up this fall. It's going to take us around the Southeast, but like in a 300-mile radius of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
That's not because we're like, hey, screw everybody else, but it just makes sense. You know, we're kind of starting up again after a 5-year hiatus, and we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. You know, we want to make sure that we're able to do really good shows fairly close to home, build up a little bit of a fan base within a gas tank's drive away.
Sure.
So all of our shows are going to be within about a 300-mile radius. And then in January or February, we're going to do that all over again, but expand the radius and kind of open things up and start talking to bigger bands about like, hey, can we come open for you guys on the road? You know, maybe take us along for a leg of your trip. You know, you got to make the transition from local bands to regional or national somehow, and sometimes you get a little bit of help in that way.
And you can't do it too fast because that's fail.
Absolutely. You don't want to go out there and ruin your name by doing a bunch of lousy shows and clearly not being prepared for the scale of the stages that you're on.
You've got a show coming up with Electric Six, is that right?
Yeah. I've heard from a lot of people that I am going to not just love them as a band or a live act, but like I'm going to love the dudes. So I'm really looking forward to meeting them and really looking forward to the energy that they put out on stage. How would you describe the Electric Six?
It's metal disco.
Yeah, okay. Like garage rock instrumentation doing dance music, you know? Or it's you know, these are like garage-minded guys from Detroit doing, you know, up-tempo, dancey stuff. You know, they've figured it out. They've figured out how to be themselves and move records and play shows.
After we're done, I'm going to play another song from you when we're done, and then I'm going to play Gay Bar by Electric Six, because that one cracks me up every time.
Yeah. Yeah, and having humor in your music, I think, is a really important ingredient that I think a lot of people are missing. I tried to kind of inject a little bit more humor into this record than in previous ones, and we can change maybe the song to play after we talk,
Sure.
if you want, kind of based on that.
Anything from the new one, I'll do it.
You could play Ballad of the Bands,
Sure.
or you could play Boss Man. And I can tell you the story behind Boss Man while you cue that up. If y'all would like, listeners, because of all of the stupid touring and all of the partying and stuff that we did, I've got loads and loads of like crazy road stories that I can sit down and tell people after shows. And, you know, heck, contact me online if you want to talk to me. That's totally cool, too. My whole life has been a series of ridiculous missteps, and it's very amusing to be an adult and be able to pull from these stories. So I got married when I was 21 to kind of my high school sweetheart. After a few years of being together, we needed to break up. Instead, we got married. So we go to our reception, and then we go to our real reception afterward. And she is it cool if I make drug references on here just to tell a story?
Yeah, as long as you're not selling them.
Oh, I'm not selling them. So, so what happens is she downs 2 bottles of wine and smokes a joint. And I don't know if your listeners are very familiar with that state of mind, but you're about to be messed up. And we are supposed to go down to Florida to enjoy our honeymoon. And I am trying to convince her over the period of several hours to please get in the car. Finally, around 10 o'clock, I get her in the car, we get down the road about a mile, and she says, "Hey, pull over. I need to throw up." Just lucid, clear as day. Okay, great. I pull over. She throws up out of the side of the car, wipes off, and great, we're good to go.
Things are a lot better after that.
Happiness comes from the inside. So we get another couple of miles down the road, and then she raises her hand, and there's no talk. There is merely a sound, and it is an urgent sound. I pull over. She opens the door. She's still wearing her veil, falls out into the mud, and throws up all over the place, diarrhea all over the place, and I can't get her back into the car for just hours. So I'm sitting there in the rain on the side of the road. It's my wedding night, and she's kind of nodded off. She'll nod if you say something to her, or she'll grunt if you suggest something she doesn't like. And the thing that I was suggesting that she didn't like was get back in the car. And I reach down and I pick her up, and she screams like she's being stabbed. And I see in the distance, we're in the country, a light turn on at a house. I go, oh boy, okay, all right. So I put her back down, and I figure that some farmer's about to come over and ask some questions. And so I'm preparing myself to answer the, hey, I'm just right down the road from you. I grew up over here. Here's who I am. And the farmer doesn't show up. A state trooper does. I have confiscated the pot that she had smoked earlier, and it's in my pocket. So I have this stuff on me, and I am nervous, extremely nervous, like shaking nervous. Yeah. The state trooper's got his flashlight in my eyes, and he's asking me questions. And finally, I calm him down enough to where, he gets the light out of my eyes. And we start talking, and I can smell what's in my pocket. It smells skunky and minty, and I am convinced that he can smell it just this whole time. He tries to talk my wife into getting back in the car, and eventually he's just like, well, good luck. And he's calling me boss man the whole time. And, making certain inferences. And then finally, he puts two and two together and realizes, wait a minute, she's wearing the veil. Is this your wedding night? And I said, yes, sir, it is. And he says, oh, my gosh, hang on a second. Goes back to his car and gets his brand new digital camera. So somewhere in Alabama, there's a picture in the state trooper's office of a 21-year-old me standing in my tuxedo, leaning against my car with my wife at the time, who is just covered. There's mud, there's vomit, there's other stuff. Took a picture of us in that state, and I guess the super-duper weird, crazy, sad punchline on all of this is that we later found out that we were cousins.
What?
I'm from Alabama, Mark. You got to understand. You can't even avoid that kind of thing if you're trying. So thanks to adoption, though, and it was, people were unearthing new information at the time, and we found out that we were related. The whole thing ended terribly, but the wedding night and that incident inspired me to go ahead and write a song about it.
That was vivid.
So, if anybody's curious after hearing some of the material and trying to figure out, like, what's the story behind that song, just ask me. Come up to me after the show, send me a message on Facebook. We're, I think, the Pinx ATL on Facebook. Yep. So, yeah, get at me if you like any of the songs and you want to hear the stories behind them.
Ladies and gentlemen, Adam McIntyre, the singer,
thank you so much, Mark.
Guitarist, boss man of the Pinx. Yes, they're on Facebook at the Pinx with an X, Pinx ATL for Atlanta, and the Pinx with an X .bandcamp.com. That's also on iTunes if anybody would just rather do that. That was fun. I hope to catch you guys live sometime. We would really like to come up that way. We certainly haven't ruled it out. So I guess I'm going to go out on Boss Man. Go for it, Boss Man. Thank you so much.